We have tackled the works of pioneer Czech sci-fi writer Karel Hloucha very recently, so we may skip his biographical details and go on to today's subject. First, the Sun Chariot, which came out in 1921. The novel concerns one Valentin Andersen, an incredibly rich man who decides to create his own planet called Titania. And in order to do so, he sets up shop in a remote area of the Russian wasteland and proceeds to fashion a gigantic, weirdly floating orb whose emanations kill everything that comes too close. While doing so, he almost manages to wipe out the narrator, who is out hunting wild cats for skins to give to his beloved. The man is then brought on board the floating planet, where he is served fine wines and catered to by a Tibetan prince. The novel proceeds to narrate the exploration of Titania's crystallic peninsulas and mountains, its artificial lakes and rivers, with the main character marveling at Andersen's artificial sunsets. Most of the novel is weighed down by being just that, without any real incident for the majority of its runtime. Then all of a sudden, the dog that the narrator is keeping for his beloved gets melted by a green slimy acid monster, with a whole swarm of these suddenly infesting the planetary seas. Andersen sets out to dispose of them, and does so rather quickly, in an anticlimactic fashion. However, further plagues follow, be it an incursion of deathly cold, or when magnetic forces make the planetary rotation stop and plunge Titania into semi-eternal night. All this while the occupants receive radio news of the outbreak of World War I, and that's before a mysterious meteorite crashes into the planetoid and leaving behind a mirror-like artifact that reflects and magnifies the observer's memories, especially romantic ones. There are a few secondary characters, but they get little development or screen time. Hloucha is clearly more interested to describe his artificial planet, so that when stuff does go awry, it is a bit too far in. Secondly, we have The Strange Fate of the Rip Van Winkle, which came out in 1926. The title story concerns two rich girls who form an elite club and then take on a bet to man a ship entirely with a female crew and set off a certain distance from the shore before returning. However, their motor gets fried, and before their mechanic can fix it, she suddenly disappears. And then the girls realize that their ship is being entangled in the tentacles of a giant squid, which proceeds to slowly pick them off one by one, never relaxing its grip for a moment, day by day. The voice of the deep has an unnamed narrator who is holed up in a hotel in the mountains, who is being pursued, initially by letter, by a man who threatens to destroy him via some documents he has on his person. While wandering the countryside, the narrator stumbles upon a mysterious hole in the ground, leading to a great abyss he almost falls into. And while in the abyss, hanging on for dear life, he hears the abyss speaking to him, and he hears the voice even later on, which prompts him to shove the man who is threatening him off of a mountaintop. But though his deed is undiscovered, he feels compelled to return to the abyss once more and hang over its edge, even if he were to fall to his death. That tree has the habitual liar tell a story to his friends concerning his time among a humanoid furry race of night-dwelling people who proceed to capture and ritually strangle lemurs in front of an ancient gnarled tree, and who would have him strangled by the strangling tree as well, were it not for the shaman's daughter, who of course loves the narrator and allows him to escape, only to be eaten by a crocodile. The useless thing focuses on a bunch of ragged miscreants living in a bombed-out shed in a burning city during a seemingly apocalyptic, all-destroying world war. This bunch, led by an alcoholic, sneak out into the home of a recently deceased inventor and muck about with his life's work, a machine that projects colors which stimulate different emotions, including shame, the last of which results in the lot of them smashing the machine to bits, only to then crawl back into their dirty hovel. The Gift of Death is a bit of a weak finale, with a man who almost drowns, and who has a vision of a prosperous business idea, and of a woman who he once saw, and when he is rescued, he starts one and marries the other, though he's definitely only grateful for the business idea. As far as I can notice, Hloucha's forte is short fiction, his two collections being very readable and highly enjoyable.